Welcome to BL Hub. If you're a lover of boys' love stories or you do kick your legs while watching two men kissing, then you are at the right place. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share before we dive into this story. Thank you.
Rain hammered the city like it wanted to drown it. I sprinted down the slick sidewalk, heart slamming against my ribs, phone dead in my pocket. Behind me, Jake's voice echoed from the alley I'd just escaped. "Aiden, you can't run forever, baby. I know you're close." Psycho didn't even begin to cover it. 6 months ago, Jake had seemed perfect, charming, protective, intense. Then the intensity turned into obsession. Tracking my phone. Showing up at my work unannounced. Threatening anyone who looked at me too long. Tonight he'd broken into my apartment, waving a knife and screaming that if he couldn't have me, no one would. I'd climbed out the fire escape and run. Now I was in some upscale downtown garage, shoes soaked, lungs burning. His footsteps were getting closer. He must have seen me duck in here. Panic clawed at me. There were rows of luxury cars, security cameras everywhere, but no guard in sight. I needed to hide. A black Maybach sat in the far corner, rear door slightly ajar like the owner had just stepped out for a second. No time to think. I yanked the trunk release under the lip, thank God it wasn't locked, and crawled inside, pulling it shut just as Jake's voice rang out again. "Where are you, Aiden? Come out and we'll talk." I curled into a ball among a spare tire, a folded blanket, and what felt like a suit bag. The trunk smelled expensive, leather, cedar, something dark and masculine. My breath came in shallow gasps. I pressed my hands over my mouth to stay quiet. Minutes dragged. I heard Jake's shoes on concrete, circling. He kicked a tire nearby. I flinched. Then, nothing. Silence, broken only by distant rain. I waited. Counted to 500. My legs cramped. I was about to risk opening the trunk when the car dipped slightly. Someone getting in the driver's seat? No, heavier. Back seat. The engine purred to life, smooth as silk. The car rolled forward. Oh God. I was in a moving vehicle. With a stranger. I should bang on the divider, scream for help. But what if the driver called the cops? Jake had friends on the force. He'd convinced them I was unstable before. Or worse, what if the driver just pulled over and handed me to whoever was chasing me? So I stayed silent as the car glided onto the street, then accelerated onto what felt like a highway. 20 minutes later, it slowed, turned, and stopped. Garage door? The engine cut off. Footsteps. The driver's door opened and closed. I held my breath. The trunk clicked open. Light flooded in, and I squinted up at a man who looked like he'd stepped off a billboard for dangerously attractive. Tall, 6'4" at least. Black hair, sharp jaw, eyes the color of winter storms. He wore a charcoal suit that probably cost more than my yearly rent, tie loosened like he'd had a long day. His expression went from mild annoyance to cold assessment in a second. "Who the hell are you?" His voice was low, controlled, with an edge that could cut glass. I scrambled to sit up, blanket tangled around my legs. I'm sorry. Please don't call the police. My ex is trying to kill me and I hid in your car and I know this is insane but... Slow down. He held up one hand, the other sliding into his pocket. No fear on his face. Just calculation. Name. Aiden. Aiden Cole. He studied me, wet hair plastered to my forehead, ripped hoodie, shaking like a leaf. Something flickered in his gray eyes. Not pity. Recognition, maybe. "Get out." I hesitated. "Now," he said, voice quieter but somehow scarier. I climbed out on shaky legs. We were in a private underground garage, marble floors, a fleet of cars that screamed money. His penthouse, prop. He closed the trunk with deliberate calm. "You're bleeding." I looked down. A shallow cut on my forearm from the fire escape. I hadn't even felt it. He sighed, like I was an inconvenience he hadn't planned for. "Come upstairs. You can clean that up. Then you'll explain exactly what kind of mess I just drove home." I should have said no. Should have run again. But those eyes pinned me in place, and something in his tone said arguing wasn't an option. I followed him to a private elevator. As the doors closed, he leaned against the wall, arms crossed, watching me. You picked the wrong car to hide in, Aiden Cole. My stomach flipped. Why? The elevator opened directly into a sprawling penthouse, floor-to-ceiling windows, city lights glittering below like scattered diamonds. He shrugged off his suit jacket, tossed it over a chair. Because I'm not the hero type. He turned, gaze sharp. I'm Lucian Voss, CEO of Voss Enterprises. And I don't like surprises in my trunk. My knees nearly buckled. Everyone knew Voss Enterprises, tech, real estate, private security. Ruthless takeovers. Whispers of shady deals. And Lucian Voss himself? Tabloids called him the Ice King. Untouchable. Lethal in boardrooms and, rumor had it, everywhere else. I'd hidden in the car of the most dangerous man in the city. He walked to a bar cart, poured amber liquid into a glass. Didn't offer me one. Start talking, he said, before I decide whether to throw you out or keep you. Gimme? My mouth went dry. And that was the exact moment my dead phone buzzed in my pocket, somehow getting signal again. The screen lit up with 47 missed calls and one new text from Jake. Found out whose car you left in, baby. Lucian Voss won't protect you. No one can. I'm coming. I stared at the message, blood draining from my face. Lucian noticed. He crossed the room in 3 strides, plucked the phone from my hand before I could react. His eyes scanned the text. Jaw tightened. He looked up at me, something dark and predatory awakening behind the ice. On second thought, he said quietly, handing the phone back, you can stay. My heart pounded. Why? He stepped closer, close enough I could smell his cologne, feel the heat radiating off him. Because no one threatens what's in my possession. His voice dropped. And right now, Aiden, you're in my trunk. That makes you mine. I swallowed hard. This was no rescue. I'd escaped one monster, straight into the den of another. And something told me Lucian Voss was far, far worse. Lucian's words hung in the air like smoke, thick, dangerous, impossible to ignore. That makes you mine. I took an instinctive step back, bumping into the marble island in the middle of his kitchen. The penthouse was all sharp lines and dark luxury, black granite counters, steel accents, floor-to-ceiling windows showing the storm-lashed city 40 floors below. Everything screamed control. Everything screamed him. I'm not anyone's possession, I managed, voice cracking. I just needed to hide for a minute. I'll leave now. Thank you for... You're not going anywhere. He cut me off without raising his voice, but the command in it rooted me to the spot. He set my phone face down on the counter like it was contaminated. Your ex knows my name. Knows my car. That means he's either very stupid or very connected. Which is it? I swallowed. Connected. His dad's a detective. Downtown precinct. Max gets away with everything. Lucian's eyes narrowed. Name. Jake Harlan. He pulled out his own phone, thumb flying across the screen. Harlan. Got it. He didn't explain who he was texting, and I didn't ask. Instead, he moved to a cabinet, pulled out a first aid kit the size of a briefcase, and pointed to a bar stool. Sit. Arm out. I obeyed before my brain caught up. He cleaned the cut with antiseptic that stung like fire, then wrapped it with efficient precision. His hands were large, scarred across the knuckles, old fights, maybe, or something worse. Every brush of his fingers against my skin sent sparks up my arm. You're shaking, he observed, voice low. Adrenaline crash, I muttered. Terror. Mostly terror. He taped the bandage in place and finally met my eyes. Up close, the gray was flecked with silver, like storm clouds lit by lightning. You're safe here. For tonight. I laughed, short, bitter. Safe with the Ice King? That's what they call you, right? The man who dismantles companies for breakfast and ruins lives before lunch. A faint smirk tugged at his mouth. Tabloids exaggerate. Which part? All of it. He stepped back, giving me space I didn't want as much as I should. Showers down the hall, second door on the left. Guest room is next to it. Clothes in the dresser. My assistant keeps spares for emergencies. I blinked. You have a stash of random men's clothes in your penthouse? Occasionally people need to stay unexpectedly. His tone said, drop it. You're a medium? How did you? Your hoodie. He nodded at the soaked garment clinging to me. Go. Warm up. I have calls to make. I hesitated. You don't have to do this. I can figure something out. He was already walking away, dialing a number. You're not figuring anything out tonight except how to sleep without looking over your shoulder. Move. The shower was heaven, rainfall head, endless hot water, eucalyptus-scented body wash that smelled like money. I stayed until my fingers pruned, trying to scrub away the night. When I stepped out, wrapped in a towel the size of a blanket, I found folded clothes on the counter, soft gray sweatpants, a black t-shirt that smelled faintly of cedar. They were clearly his, too big, sleeves hanging past my wrists, but clean. I changed and padded barefoot into the hall. Voices drifted from the living room. Lucian, speaking in clipped tones. Pull the garage footage. I want to know exactly how long he lingered. Cross-reference Harlan with anyone on my security team. If there's a leak, I want the name by morning. The pause. No. He stays here until I say otherwise. Make sure the building knows. No visitors, no deliveries, no exceptions. He ended the call as I stepped into the light. His gaze swept over me, lingering where the t-shirt stretched across my chest, then lower to where the sweatpants hung low on my hips. Something heated flashed in his eyes before the ice slammed back down. Better, he said. Thank you. For the clothes. For everything. He poured himself another drink, whiskey, neat, and finally offered me one. I shook my head. Smart, he murmured. You should eat. I'm not hungry. You will be. He moved to the kitchen with predatory grace, pulling out containers from a sub-zero fridge. My chef preps meals. Steak okay? I watched him heat something that smelled like garlic and rosemary, stunned by the domesticity of it. Lucian Voss, Ruthless Billionaire, microwaving steak for a stranger he'd found in his trunk. He plated food, slid it across the island to me. Medium rare filet, roasted vegetables, some sauce that probably had a French name I couldn't pronounce. Eat. I picked up the fork. The first bite melted on my tongue. I hadn't realized how starving I was until then. He watched me like he watched everything, intensely, cataloging every reaction. Halfway through the plate, my phone buzzed on the counter. We both tensed. Lucian reached it first. A known number. He answered, put it on speaker. Aiden. Jake's voice, syrupy sweet and chilling. Baby, I know you're with Voss. Bad choice. He's not going to keep you. Come out now and I'll forgive tonight. Lucian's expression didn't change, but the temperature in the room dropped 10 degrees. Harlan, he said, voice smooth as silk over steel. You're speaking to Lucian Voss. Silence. Then Jake laughed, nervous. Mr. Voss. This is a private matter. Aiden and I. Your private matter became my business when he chose my car to hide in. Lucian's tone was conversational, but every word carried weight. You will stop calling. You will stop texting. You will stay the fuck away from him. Am I clear? You can't. I can buy your father's precinct with my pocket change. I can make sure you never work in this city again. I can make you disappear without a trace. Choose wisely. Another beat of silence. Jake hung up. I stared at the phone, shaking again. Lucian set it aside. He won't call back tonight. How can you be sure? Because he's a coward. And cowards fold when someone stronger pushes. He stepped closer, tipping my chin up with 2 fingers. Look at me. I did. You're staying here until this is handled. Guest room is yours. No arguments. I nodded, throat tight. He released me, but didn't step away. One more thing. What? His hand slid to the back of my neck, firm, possessive. While you're under my roof, you follow my rules. You don't leave without my permission. You don't open the door for anyone. And you don't lie to me. Ever. The grip wasn't painful, but it wasn't gentle either. My pulse raced under his thumb. Understood? Yes, I whispered. Good. He let go, but the heat of his touch lingered. Finish eating. Then bed. I obeyed, every bite tasting like surrender. Later, in the guest room, king bed, silk sheets, another view of the stormy city, I couldn't sleep. Every creak made me flinch. At 2 a.m., I gave up and wandered out for water. Lucian was on the couch, shirt unbuttoned, laptop glowing on his lap. He looked up as I approached. Nightmare. Just wired. He closed the laptop, patted the space beside him. Sit. I did, curling into the corner of the massive sectional. He poured me water from a carafe, handed it over. Our fingers brushed. You're safe, he said quietly. I know. It's just, I laughed shakily. I went from one controlling asshole to another. His eyes darkened. I'm not him. No. You're worse. You're actually capable of following through on threats. A low chuckle rumbled from his chest. Fair. Silence stretched, not uncomfortable. Why are you doing this? I asked finally. You don't know me. He considered the question, swirling whiskey in his glass. Because I can. Because no one threatens what's mine. And because, he paused, then met my eyes. You looked at me in that trunk like I was salvation. No one's ever looked at me like that. My breath caught. He stood, towering over me. Go to bed, Aiden. Tomorrow we figure out how permanent this arrangement is. I fled to the guest room, heart hammering. But as I slid between cool sheets wearing his clothes, breathing in his scent, one terrifying truth settled in my chest. I wasn't sure I wanted it to be temporary. And that scared me more than Jake ever had. Morning light sliced through the penthouse windows like a blade, turning everything silver and sharp. I woke up disoriented, tangled in sheets that cost more than my old mattress, heart racing before I remembered where I was. For now. Lucian Voss's guest room. I sat up slowly. My phone was on the nightstand, fully charged, a new case around it that definitely hadn't been there last night. A note beside it in precise, slanted handwriting. Breakfast on the island. Shower if you want. Do not leave the penthouse. Bossy even on paper. I padded out barefoot. The living room was empty, but the kitchen island held a spread. Fresh croissants, berries, scrambled eggs, coffee steaming in a French press. A single plate set out. For me. He'd cooked. Or had someone deliver at dawn. Either way, it felt intimate in a way that made my stomach flip. I ate standing up, too wired to sit. Every bite tasted like borrowed time. By the time the elevator chimed, I'd cleaned the plate and was rinsing it in the sink. Lucian stepped out in workout gear, black compression shirt clinging to every ridged muscle, sweat still glistening at his temples. He'd clearly just come from the private gym I hadn't noticed last night. His eyes found me immediately. Sleep. Some. I dried my hands on a towel. Thank you for breakfast. And charging my phone. He nodded, pouring himself coffee. We're going shopping today. I blinked. Shopping? Your clothes are in the laundry. You need more than my leftovers. He sipped, watching me over the rim. And I have rules to go over. Of course he did. He set the mug down, leaned against the counter. Rule 1, you don't leave this building without me or my security. Not yet. How long is yet? Until Harlan is neutralized. Flat, final. Rule 2, you answer my questions honestly. I need to know everything about him, habits, friends, weaknesses. I wrapped my arms around myself. You're going to what? Have him arrested. Lucian's smile was thin and dangerous. I'm going to make him regret being born. Method depends on what I learn. A shiver ran down my spine. Not fear, exactly. Something darker. Rule 3, he continued, stepping closer until I had to tilt my head back. While you're here, you're mine. Exclusively. No dating apps, no late-night texts to old flames, no flirting with the barista downstairs. I laughed, couldn't help it. You think I'm in any state to flirt with anyone? His hand came up, thumb brushing my lower lip, silencing me. Doesn't matter. I don't share. The air thickened. My pulse thundered in my ears. You don't even know if you want me, I whispered. This is just possession. His eyes darkened. I know exactly what I want. He leaned in, breath warm against my ear. And I always get it. Then he pulled back, casual as if he hadn't just set my blood on fire. Finish getting ready. Car leaves in 30. The shopping was unlike anything I'd experienced. A private boutique in the building's retail level, closed to the public while we were there. Racks of designer clothes wheeled in by stylists who called Lucian sir, and barely glanced at me. He sat in a leather chair like a king on a throne, directing with subtle nods or flicks of his fingers. Try the navy Henley. No, too baggy. Next. That one. Keep it. By the end, I had bags of jeans that fit like they were tailored. They probably were. Soft sweaters, shoes I'd never dared look at in stores. All charged to an account I didn't want to think about. In the dressing room mirror, wearing new dark jeans and a charcoal V-neck that hugged my frame, I barely recognized myself. Polished. Expensive. When I stepped out for the last approval, Lucian's gaze raked over me slowly, possessively. He stood, circled me once, then stopped behind me, hands settling on my hips. Perfect, he murmured against my neck. Heat pooled low in my belly. Back in the penthouse, bags abandoned in the foyer, he led me to his office. A wall of screens, glass desk, city sprawled below like he owned it. Which he practically did. Sit. He pointed to the couch. I obeyed. He woke a monitor, pulled up files. Photos of Jake. His apartment building. His patrol routes, his dad's too. Social media screenshots. Bank records. My mouth went dry. How did you? I have resources. He didn't look at me. Tell me if anything's missing. I leaned forward, scanning. He has a cabin up north. Family property. He took me there once. Threatened to take me again if I ever tried to leave. Lucian's fingers paused on the keyboard. Address. I don't remember exactly. But there's a photo on his Instagram, old one. Red canoe by the dock. He typed. Minutes later, satellite images of a wooded property, red canoe visible. Good boy, he said quietly. The praise hit me harder than it should have. He closed the files. Turned his chair to face me fully. Tonight there's a gala. Charity thing. I have to attend. I frowned. Okay. You're coming with me. What? I don't have. You do now. He nodded toward the bags. One of them is formal. And I want Harlan to see you. With me. Untouchable. My stomach nodded. You're using me as bait? No, his voice hardened. I'm marking territory. He needs to understand the new reality. I stood, pacing. This is insane. I should just get a restraining order, move cities. He was in front of me in 2 strides, backing me against the glass wall. 40 floors of nothing behind me. You think a piece of paper stops men like him? His hand braced beside my head. You think running works when he has connections? I glared up at him. So your solution is to own me instead? His other hand cupped my jaw, gentle but immovable. Temporary ownership. Until he's handled. Then you decide if you want to stay. My breath hitched. And if I say no now? His thumb traced my cheekbone. You won't. Arrogant bastard. But he wasn't wrong. The heat between us was a live wire, sparking every time he touched me. He released me, step back. Get ready. Hairstylist comes at 5. We leave at 7. The gala was held in a glittering ballroom downtown. Chandeliers like waterfalls, champagne flowing, power players in tuxes and gowns. I wore black, tailored suit that fit like sin, chosen by Lucian himself. He stood beside me in midnight blue, looking lethal and edible. Heads turned as we entered. Whispers followed. That's Voss. Who's the pretty thing with him? Never seen him with anyone. His hand rested on my lower back, possessive, guiding. Every touch claimed. We circulated. He introduced me simply, Aiden. No explanation. Let them wonder. Halfway through, his posture shifted. Subtle, but I felt it. I followed his gaze. Across the room in a cheap rented tux, holding a tray. Waitstaff. His eyes locked on me. Rage, disbelief, something broken. Lucian's arm slid around my waist, pulling me close. He leaned down, lips brushing my ear for anyone watching. Smile, baby. Let him see what he lost. It's shaky but real. Because for the first time in months, I felt powerful. Jake's face twisted. He took a step forward, and security materialized, escorting him out before he made a scene. Lucian watched it happen, satisfaction in every line of his body. Later, in the car home, champagne buzzing in my veins, I turned to him. How did you get him in here? As staff. Invitation. He shrugged. I own the catering company. Of course he did. Silence stretched, charged. He reached over, fingers threading through mine. You were perfect tonight. I swallowed. Felt like a trophy. You're not a trophy. His grip tightened. You're a statement. The elevator ride up was torture, standing inches apart, not touching. Inside the penthouse, he shrugged off his jacket, loosened his tie. I kicked off my shoes, adrenaline crashing. He poured drinks. Handed me one. To new beginnings, he said. I clinked my glass against his. Drink. Then I set it down. Stepped into his space. Lucian. His eyes flared. I rose on my toes, hands on his chest. If I'm yours, show me what that means. The glass hit the counter. His mouth crashed into mine. No hesitation. No gentleness. Just hunger. He backed me against the window again, hands everywhere, claiming, branding. When he pulled back, we were both breathing hard. Bedroom, he growled. Now. I didn't argue. Because tonight I wanted to be possessed. And tomorrow could wait. The word, bedroom, had barely left his lips when Lucian's hands were on me again, strong, impatient, lifting me like I weighed nothing. My legs wrapped around his waist instinctively as he carried me down the hall, mouth devouring mine the entire way. Every kiss was a claim. Every bite on my lower lip a brand. He kicked open a door, his bedroom, not the guest one. Dark walls, massive bed, city lights painting silver stripes across silk sheets. He didn't bother with the light switch. I hit the mattress with a soft bounce, and he was on me in seconds, suit jacket discarded, shirt half unbuttoned. Moonlight carved shadows over the hard lines of his chest, the cut of his abs. He looked like a predator finally allowed to hunt. Tell me to stop, he growled against my throat, teeth scraping skin. Say it now, Aiden, or I won't. I arched up into him instead, fingers threading through his hair. Don't you dare stop. A low, approving sound rumbled from his chest. Then his mouth was everywhere, collarbone, nipple, stomach, mapping me with tongue and teeth until I was writhing, begging without words. He stripped me slowly, deliberately, like unwrapping something expensive he intended to ruin in the best way. Every piece of clothing he removed, he kissed the skin he exposed. When the borrowed sweatpants finally hit the floor, I was bare beneath him, trembling with want. Lucian paused, eyes raking over me spread out on his bed. Possession and hunger warred in his gaze. Beautiful, he murmured, voice rough. All mine. He shed the rest of his clothes with efficient grace. I forgot how to breathe. He was overwhelming. Broad shoulders, powerful thighs, and an erection that made my mouth go dry. When he crawled over me again, skin to skin, the heat of him seared me. Safe word? He asked, surprisingly gentle for a second. I blinked up at him. You're giving me one? I'm possessive, not a monster. His thumb stroked my cheek. Choose. Red? I whispered. He nodded once. Then the gentleness vanished. Hands pinned my wrists above my head. His knee nudged my thighs apart. He kissed me deep and filthy while his free hand explored, teasing, stroking, learning every gasp and shudder. By the time he reached for the lube on the nightstand, I was a mess, hard, leaking, pleading. Look at me, he ordered as one slick finger pressed inside. I did, eyes locked on his as he opened me up with ruthless patience. One finger became two, then three, curling just right until I was rocking back against his hand, chasing more. Please, I gasped. Lucian, please. He withdrew, rolled on protection, and lined up. The blunt pressure at my entrance made me tense. Breathe, he said, voice strained with his own control. Push out for me. He sank in slowly, inch by inch, until he bottomed out and we both groaned. The stretch burned, but the fullness was perfect. Overwhelming. Exactly what I needed. He stilled, forehead pressed to mine. You okay? Move, I begged. God, move. He did. Slow at first, letting me adjust, then harder, deeper, until the headboard knocked against the wall in a steady rhythm. Every thrust hit that spot inside that made stars burst behind my eyes. I clawed at his back, legs locked around his hips, meeting him stroke for stroke. Mine, he snarled against my ear. Say it. Yours, I moaned. All yours. The orgasm blindsided me, ripping through me like lightning. I came untouched between us, clenching around him, crying out his name. He followed seconds later, burying himself deep, groaning my name like a prayer and a curse. We collapsed in a tangle of limbs, sweat slick and breathless. He disposed of the condom, then pulled me against his chest, one arm banded around my waist like he never intended to let go. I drifted, half asleep, listening to his heartbeat slow. Just before I passed out, he pressed a kiss to my temple. Sleep, baby. I've got you. For the first time in months, I believed it. Morning came too soon. Sunlight, strong arms still around me, and the smell of coffee drifting in. Lucian was already awake, propped on an elbow, watching me. Creepy, I mumbled into the pillow. He smirked. Get used to it. He'd ordered breakfast, again. This time we ate in bed, naked, feeding each other bites of fruit between lazy kisses. It felt dangerously domestic. My phone buzzed on the nightstand. I tensed. Lucian reached over, checked the screen, then handed it to me. A known number. Photo message. I opened it with shaking fingers. A picture of the penthouse building from across the street. Time-stamped 20 minutes ago. Text beneath. Enjoy your borrowed time. He'll get tired of you soon. Lucian's face went arctic. He took the phone, forwarded the message and number to someone, then set it aside. I'm doubling security, he said calmly. You don't leave the building today. I nodded, stomach churning. He's watching. He's desperate. Lucian cupped my face. Desperate men make mistakes. His phone rang then, his head of security. He answered, listened, expression darkening with every second. When he hung up, he looked at me. Harlan broke into your old apartment last night. Trashed it. Left a message on the wall in spray paint. What message? Lucian hesitated, the first time I'd ever seen him do that. Tell me. Eden belongs to me. Voss will pay. I laughed. He's lost it. He lost you, Lucian corrected. And he's about to lose everything else. He spent the day in calls and meetings from his home office, door cracked so he could see me on the couch with a book I wasn't reading. By evening, he emerged, tie loosened, sleeves rolled up. Tomorrow night, he said, pulling me into his lap, we end this. How? There's an event at the cabin I found. Harlan family tradition, Christmas Eve bonfire. He'll be there. Alone. I stiffened. You're going up there? We are. He brushed hair from my forehead. He needs to see you choose me. One last time. Then I handle the rest. Fear and something reckless flared in my chest. Okay, I said. But I want to be there when you confront him. His eyes searched mine. You sure? I need to see it end. He nodded slowly. Then we leave at dawn. That night, he took me again. Slower this time, face to face, eyes locked. Every thrust felt like a promise. After, tangled together, he whispered against my skin, whatever happens tomorrow, you're coming home with me. I believed him. But as sleep claimed me, Jake's message echoed in my mind. Borrowed time. Tomorrow, one way or another, the clock would stop. We left the city before dawn, the Maybach cutting through empty highways like a black shark. Snow started falling somewhere north of the suburbs, thick, silent flakes that turned the world into a blur of white and gray. Lucian drove himself this time. No driver, no security tail that I could see. Just the two of us in heated leather seats, classical music low on the speakers, tension thick enough to choke on. I wore layers he'd picked, dark jeans, cashmere sweater, a heavy wool coat that still smelled like his cologne. He was in black everything, black coat, black gloves, black expression. You cold? He asked, glancing over. No, my knee bounced anyway. He reached across, settled a hand on my thigh. From grounding. Breathe, Aiden. I've done this before. Confronted psycho exes at remote cabins on Christmas Eve? A faint smirk. Neutralize threats. Same principle. I stared out at the pines whipping past. What exactly is the plan? We show up. You tell him it's over, face to face. He sees you're not scared anymore. Sees you're with me. Then he makes a choice, walk away or force my hand. And if he forces it? Lucian's fingers tightened on my leg. Then he disappears. Quietly. Permanently. The way he said it, so calm, so certain, should have terrified me. Instead, it settled something jagged inside my chest. We turned onto a narrow private road just after noon. The cabin appeared through the trees. 2 stories, stone and timber, smoke curling from the chimney. Red canoe upside down by the dock, half buried in snow. Exactly like the photo. A single truck in the drive, Jake's beat-up Ford. Lucian parked behind it, blocking the exit. Stay here until I open your door, he said. I nodded. He got out, scanned the tree line, then came around to my side. His hand settled on my lower back as we walked up the steps, protective, possessive. The front door was unlocked. Inside smelled like pine, wood smoke, and something sour, whiskey maybe. Christmas lights blinked half-heartedly on a scraggly tree in the corner. A fire roared in the stone hearth. Jake stood in the kitchen doorway, bottle in hand, eyes bloodshot. He looked worse than at the gala, unshaven, sweater-stained, hair wild. You actually brought him here, he slurred, staring at Lucian like he was seeing a ghost. Bold. Lucian didn't respond. Just guided me further inside, positioning himself slightly in front of me. Jake's gaze shifted to me. Aiden. Baby. Come here. I stepped forward, only one step, but it was mine. It's over, Jake. He laughed, sharp and broken. Over? Because you spread your legs for a richer psycho? Lucian went unnaturally still beside me. I lifted my chin. Because I'm done being afraid of you. Because I choose me. And right now, that means I choose him. Jake's face twisted. He slammed the bottle down on the counter. You don't get to choose. You're mine. You've always been mine. He lunged. Not at me, at Lucian. It happened too fast. Jake swung a fireplace poker he'd grabbed from nowhere, aiming for Lucian's head. Lucian moved like water, sidestepped, caught Jake's wrist, twisted. The poker clattered to the floor. Jake howled as his arm was wrenched behind his back. Then Lucian slammed him face-first into the wall, forearm across his throat. Wrong choice, Lucian said quietly. Jake thrashed, spitting curses. I backed up until my spine hit the door. Lucian didn't even look strained. Aiden. Go outside. Cars unlocked. No, my voice shook, but I stayed. I need to see this. He glanced at me, something unreadable in his eyes. Respect, maybe? Jake wheezed. You think you can just take him? He'll get bored. You're nothing special to him. Lucian leaned in close. I'm everything he needs. And you're done. He released Jake suddenly. The man stumbled, gasping. Then Lucian pulled out his phone. Hit a button. Send them in. Jake's eyes widened. What? The back door burst open. 3 men in black, security, moved in silently. One carried zip ties. Jake tried to run. Didn't make it 2 steps. They had him restrained in seconds. Lucian turned to me. Evidence is in the truck. Knife with his prints. Photos of you he shouldn't have. Planted drugs. Enough to put him away for years. My knees buckled. You set him up? Gave him rope. He hanged himself. Lucian's voice was flat. His father won't be able to bury this one. Jake screamed as they dragged him out. Promises of revenge, threats, pleas. The door slammed behind them. Silence fell, broken only by the crackle of the fire. Lucian crossed to me in 3 strides, cupped my face. You okay? I nodded, tears spilling over. It's really over? It's over. He wiped my cheeks with his thumbs. He'll be in federal holding by tonight. No bail. No visitors. No contact. I sagged against him. He caught me, held me tight. We stood like that for a long minute, snow falling outside, fire dying inside. Then I pulled back. Looked up at him. Take me home. His eyes softened, the first time I'd ever seen them truly warm. Our home, he corrected gently. I smiled through the tears. Yeah, our home. The drive back was different. Snow still falling, but the world felt lighter. I slept most of the way, head on his shoulder, his hand in mine. When we stepped into the penthouse that night, city lights glittering below like a million promises, he shrugged off our coats. Then he backed me against the window again, gentle this time. "Merry Christmas, Aiden," he murmured against my lips. I kissed him slow and deep. Best one yet. 6 months later. Sunlight poured through the penthouse windows, turning the marble floors gold. I stood at the kitchen island in nothing but Lucian's discarded dress shirt from the night before, flipping pancakes like I actually knew what I was doing. The last half year had blurred into something that felt dangerously like happiness. Jake's trial had been swift and public enough to satisfy the tabloids. Possession of illegal substances, stalking charges, violation of a restraining order I'd finally filed with Lucian's lawyers. His father's career ended in scandal the same week. Jake got 8 years, no parole for 5. I hadn't thought about him in weeks. Lucian appeared behind me, fresh from his morning workout, towel around his neck, gray sweatpants slung low. He wrapped arms around my waist, chin resting on my shoulder. "Smells edible," he murmured, lips brushing my neck. High praise from the man who has a private chef on speed dial. He hummed, stealing a bite straight from the pan. "I prefer this chef." I elbowed him gently. Flirt. Truth. We ate on the terrace, barefoot, city sprawling below us. He'd added plants out here at my insistence, trailing ivy, herbs in sleek pots. It softened the sharp edges of his world. Of our world. Halfway through coffee, he set his mug down. "I have something for you." I raised an eyebrow. "Another black card?" "Because I still haven't maxed the last one." A faint smile. "Better." He disappeared inside, came back with a flat velvet box. Not small. Not ring-sized. My heart still stuttered. He handed it over. Inside, a key. Sleek, modern, attached to a thin platinum chain. I looked up, confused. "It's to the house," he said quietly. "The one we looked at last month." My breath caught. We'd driven out on a whim one weekend, winding roads, rolling hills, a contemporary glass and stone estate on 20 acres. Lake access. Wildflowers in summer. I'd fallen stupidly in love with it, standing on the empty master balcony imagining mornings exactly like this, just quieter. "You bought it?" I whispered. "Closed yesterday." He watched my face carefully. "Your name's on the deed too." I stared at the key, then at him. "Lucian, I know the city's my battlefield," he said, voice low. "But you make me want peace. Weekends. Holidays. A place that's ours, not just mine." Tears pricked my eyes. I set the box down, climbed into his lap, straddled him right there on the terrace chair. "You big sentimental bastard," I muttered against his mouth. "Only for you." I kissed him slow and thorough until we were both breathing hard. "Take me there tonight," I said. "I want to christen every room." His hands slid under the shirt, gripping my thighs. "Greedy. You taught me." That evening we drove up in the Maybach, windows down, music loud. The house was lit when we arrived. His team had stocked it, left discreetly. Inside smelled like fresh paint and possibility. Vaulted ceilings, walls of glass, a kitchen bigger than my old apartment. We didn't make it past the living room the first time, clothes scattered from the door to the rug in front of the fireplace he'd had lit remotely. Later, tangled on the oversized couch, city boy and his billionaire watching stars through the skylight, he spoke into my hair. "Move in with me. Both places. All of it." I propped up on an elbow. "I already live with you. I mean permanently. No guest room. No separate closets. Your books mixed with mine. Your coffee mug, The chipped one you refused to throw away, next to my espresso cups. I grinned. You thought about this. Every day since Christmas Eve. I traced the scar on his knuckles, the one I'd kissed 100 times. Yes. Obviously yes. He pulled me down for another kiss, softer this time. Much later, in the master bed that faced the lake, moonlight silvering the water outside, he held me close. I used to think I didn't need anyone, he said quietly. Then you climbed into my trunk like a scared, soaked alley cat and ruined everything. I laughed into his chest. Best bad decision I ever made. He tilted my chin up. I love you, Aiden Cole. Have for months. Probably since the night you demanded I show you what mine meant. My throat tightened. We hadn't said it yet, not out loud. Too scared to jinx it. I love you too, I whispered. Even when you're terrifying. Especially then, he corrected. I smiled. Especially then. We fell asleep like that, limbs tangled, windows open to summer air, the lake lapping gently at the shore. No more running. No more hiding. Just us. And a future wide open, built on the strangest, most perfect beginning. I hid in a stranger's car to escape my psycho ex. And found the love of my life waiting in the driver's seat. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. Don't forget to subscribe, like and share for more amazing BL stories.